suicide after gathering the remaining story
Wait, we
bits.
haven't even started. I'm on the starting soon screen. I gotta go
I know
post
I'm
on Twitter!
practicing.
Yeah, I know. Oh, god. Practicing. Yep. I've updated a lot on the channel too, so it's good. Hi guys! Just give us a couple moments here. I swear if I accidentally clip again, I'm gonna be mad. You know, when you go to your stream manager, well, you know what I mean.
You heard her, guys. Clip her.
Don't, please.
Clip everything.
I'm mentioning you, by the way. Hashtag
Mention me.
raging. I'm raging. I'm raging. Star! You're the first one here! Hi, sweetie, how are you?
Who
Oh my
is?
god. Your girlfriend! Dummy.
There.
Star! You're
Star!
so sweet.
I love
Hi!
you.
We love you! Yeah.
No, I love her more. Shut up.
Okay, you love her more, I get it, but that doesn't mean I can't love her. You're waiting on the offline screen? You're so sweet! What? Oh my gosh. Did you guys have fun? I love me in
Yes.
raging loop.
We talked for like, what was it, half an hour? An hour? I don't know. Close to that.
Come join
I don't
us!
know. Time flies.
How the time flies when you're having fun. Okay, my post is up, and I think Discord's went up. It's really hard to tell if my bot does it. Yes, okay. Just a question. You guys, when the bot, makes an announcement, does it actually at you? Like it says it does? I really hope it does. Do you, like, get the
No
actual...
clue. I've been in this call the whole time. I haven't checked.
Oh, well, I'll try to confirm it with someone else. Okay, no worries, Star. Thank you for the lurk. We appreciate you hanging out with us. The more the merrier. Let's get it. You did that right? Yeah. My controller working? I think I'm gonna use mouse again.
You'll see for yourself exactly what part of all of Hisako Mamiya's jibber jabber was the key to the truth when you read the rest of the story.
Forget it. Goodbye, controller.
T9 only functions as one of the final keys, so hold on to it carefully from now.
We keep dying and dying.
If you haven't gone there yet, first go to 2, missed Q, her motive, and get key 3 from Chiemi's dumb quiz.
We already did that.
Okay, what are we missing?
We're missing fucking
The one with the
mansion from the
Undo
Nosato mansion.
Yes! Buddhist rock star, or whatever they call it.
After that, you'll want to go to the branch unlocked by key 3, in other words, at 4, infiltration, Q, all set.
Buddha. No, is it? Buddha
You'll
Shashma?
get a ton of info from there.
I'm gonna remember that, totally.
Okay, that's enough for this time. Die another hearty death next time.
Thanks, man. Do you date the sheep or am I tripping? Because I think I saw that somewhere.
Yes.
Oh dear. Watch it turn out to be a girl. Sunday 511. No,
It is.
Are we going to infiltration?
Yes.
Okay. And then I think I forgot the rest. I'll figure it out.
Yep, you figure it out. Okay.
No, hold on.
Oh god, this is so bad.
Just tell me. Hold on, I forgot that part.
You passed it twice already.
It's somewhere here, right?
You passed it already.
No, we're not. We're in infiltration.
No, Lumi.
Oh, it's down, it's down, it's down, it's down, it's down.
Lumi.
Is it, decide arrangements?
You passed it again.
Where? Same old Kionosuke. Okay, hold on. It's gotta be, like, right here.
Oh no.
Dude. It's all set?
Lumi.
I forgot
It was
already.
10 seconds ago.
I know.
You goldfish.
I'll go back on my stream. Okay, I'm gonna go back to that part then.
All right, I'll tell you what it was. It will
Entering the
just
village.
make it
Entering the
easier.
village.
No.
Oh my god. Interrogation answer. No.
It was all set.
Didn't I say that
No, you didn't.
already? Oh shit, my bad. Talk to Kyonosuke, let's go!
Bromance time.
Fun fact, goldfish can actually be trained to perform tricks. The notion that they have poor memory is a myth. I just forget things sometimes, Cyber. Hi, Cyber, how are you?
Okay, cool. Thank you, Cyber. Now we know that Lumi has a worse memory than a goldfish.
I actually know it's better than that. You're just jealous.
Yes, I'm just jealous that you're unable to remember something 10 seconds prior.
It wasn't 10 seconds prior. It felt
It
like...
was. Do you want to go back in the VOD?
No. It was...
Exactly.
I remembered most of it, okay? It felt like my mind was crushed by a million sheep. We're doing this again? Crap, why'd I forget? Did my memory carry over in a weird way because the method from back then was weird? Well, then again, this wouldn't be the first time my memories didn't carry over properly. Maybe I should have counted myself lucky for remembering it all. Apparently so, Cyber. Can't remember after that, can you? I had tons of things to think about.
Maybe you had a hard time remembering because your mind was crushed by a million sheep.
I'm gonna go with that metaphor. That is my excuse from now on. It's not all the time, it's just sometimes. I need one of those, like, rotating, buffering symbols. About the beast in the village.
You have that for one of your
Emotes.
emotes.
But I need it on my model. The
That would be
giant
great.
monster. Once I get, like, an upgrade or something. I asked my friend how much it would be for stuff. Not that I need it, just to have an idea. The dream enveloping Fujiyoshi, as well as the looping the sheep had told me about. But this wasn't the time to worry about that. Best part in the game right here, baby! I went back to the Nosatsu mansion. Doorbell.
Excuse me?
It's the best part of the game! Cyber just knows, yeah, they had to show up. Oh my god, I remembered. Hold on, I caught myself. Doorbell.
Excuse me?
Are we actually going into his house now? Finally?
Yes.
Doorbell, 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 doorbell. It doesn't have the soundtrack. It doesn't have the song in the background.
Who's singing the Buddha Ash Rock while hammering my doorbell?
We love you, Kyonosuke.
Me?
He got better. Why can't they sing it together?
You? Have you gone mad? What's wrong with you? You were a normal youth until just a moment ago. I'm really sane, and you know this.
Why did their voice actors do a duet?
I simply remembered hearing it at the store.
At a store? Yeah, okay.
Huh? So you don't know the Hinja slaver?
Well, I do.
He's a dork.
Personally, I like Moraimon.
What a minor Hinja. Black Dogeza is the way to go, starting with part 3.
Is this JoJo's?
Oh, I really love the part where the 5 Black Dogezas gathered and became the Black Dogezarian.
What are these names?
You're an otaku, huh?
He is.
So are you.
Yeah, and so are you, Lumi.
Okay, and so are you. And so
No,
is
I'm not.
everyone in this chat. Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Name my favorite anime then.
I don't know. Angel Beats or Death Note.
Never watched either of them.
What is your favorite anime?
I don't have one, nerd.
Okay, whatever, Star. You can't cover for him forever. It sounds almost Digimon-y, but wait. Black Dogeza? Maybe? Like
My
Agumon or
favorite
something?
anime is Baka and Test.
That's a good anime! Oh my god, nobody knows about that one. I love that one.
I freaking love it.
That was a good one back in the day. It was so dumb. Like, they just try to fight the higher classes to, like, get their better rooms or something. I can't remember. It's been, like, 8 years.
Yeah, it was all about fighting using their test scores.
Yes. I'm surprised people remember that one. Is the bowing prostrating as an apology? Okay, yeah, Dogeza. Yes, that is like... I have it in my head, but it's like the... Yeah, it's the way of apology. I can't say the word, though. Gozaru, kind of like?
Wait,
Gozaru?
this isn't the time to bond over minor Flash movies. You don't have any other business with me, do you? I'm busy here.
Do you want to build a snowman?
I have something to tell you, and I believe you are someone who would understand.
What is it?
I will say something absurd now. You might even doubt my sanity. Well, I'm not saying that you can't differentiate reality from fiction. In fact, you can probably do it better than the average person.
What is he busy with, right, Cyber? He has nothing going on. He just doesn't want to deal with anyone. Bro's just chilling.
He's just like me for real.
For real.
However, I do believe you have a decent ability to suspend your disbelief.
I will admit, I do like the green color shading on his vest.
Me too.
It's a nice color.
Green is my favorite color.
It is?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wait, what are you getting at?
Do you know that movie where someone is repeating the day for the school culture festival over and over again?
That sounds familiar.
Yes, Groundhog Day. Oh,
I gotta watch that.
it's classic. Sure, I know about it. What about it?
Something similar is happening to me right now.
Oh, so his approach is to just, like, try to relay it to Kiyonosuke?
Nah, his approach is just to be straight up honest.
I see that.
Wait,
He is smart, so good person to go to.
Will rise from Saranaga in just a few hours. The feast of the Yomi Purge will begin and many will die.
huh? What are you... Wait, why do you know that term?
You will die too.
Every route you will die, just letting you know.
Answer my question. Stop saying ridiculous things.
I understand if you don't believe me. I've repeated these few days dozens of times now. And with every death, I loop back to square one.
I find it funny how he doesn't break the rules by doing this either.
That's why I know a lot about Yasumizu, including things that no newcomer should know about.
Yeah,
You are a
blurred out.
You are a doctor of medicine, graduated from XX University. XX Tentacion. Shikamochi Kamoshida is your nephew, and you have feeling for Rikako Uematsu. However, I'm sure that's not enough. I could have easily looked that up myself. What's more, I didn't come here to save you. It's likely that you'll die this time too.
Brutally honest, to be honest.
But I would like to ask some things. So I can prevent these from happening in another timeline.
You serious?
Yes.
Why to me?
Seriously?
Through the many feasts I've been in, I've understood the kind of person you are. Your nature, basically. And I believe that you are a person who can understand things if they're explained properly.
Come in.
Oh wow. Wasn't too hard. There. There we go. He let me into the well-furnished reception room. The inside was as fancy as the outside. The village heads had to be a
I
really
know what
wealthy
you are,
bunch.
Lumi.
Why do you say that to me?
I know what you are.
Okay, whatever. Nobody likes you, but you're actually shockingly reasonable and competent. That's the nice way to tell him to Kyonosuke. That's the nice way.
Is it that curious?
I know what you are, Titus. He returned from the kitchen,
No, you don't.
carrying a set of black tea.
I can see into your very soul.
Oh no, I'm so scared. It's a twink.
Sorry for staring.
I know what you are.
Alright.
You're fucking bottom.
Huh? Actually, I'm a switch. But thank you.
Hey yo! I think it's outdated.
I think it's outdated too.
Yo!
Don't worry. Have some tea.
A Nintendo Switch, get it? Good one, Cyber. Saving the day. Saving the day. Shh.
Oh, no. No need to fuss over me. I'm of poor upbringing, so do tell me if I'm not drinking or something.
I won't mind if you drink how you want.
Thank you. Now, was this room prepared by the head by the head of the family from 3 generations ago? Your great-grandfather?
Could you be actually messing up for once?
Oh my god!
Oh
yeah.
my god. That's like me every other
It's
stream.
almost like I'm human.
I do that every other stream. I'm just surprised.
Where did you hear about him? Even you are how do I put it? A looper. I do not believe Sato would tell you a stain on the family name. Did another village head tell you about it? I don't know what he'd want, but he must be some sort of swindler.
He really puts it behind him, doesn't he, Cyber?
What's what behind?
He said that Kyonosuke was like, no one would dare mention our great shame. And to stop looking for Kyo.
It was you.
He's so embarrassed.
What?
I heard it from you. When your and Gamochi Kamoshida-kun's relationship was worse, you told him this. You are as much of a madman as your great-great-grandfather.
He closed his eyes and groaned, then laid back on his sofa.
I invited you inside out of mere curiosity. But if you know that much, I might even believe you.
We're probably gonna get that scene that's in the soundtrack thumbnail, and I really want to see that.
I need you to, though I don't have anything I would call evidence. Instead, I will tell you of the loops I experienced. It will probably make it seem even more absurd, but still want you to believe it.
Enough with the build-up. Get to it.
I drank the fragrant tea and spoke. About the time Yasunaga Oribe won as a wolf. About the time Chiemi tried to kill everyone, and the time she failed. About how at the end of that time, Kyonosuke she had for some reason killed Rikako-san, and then I killed him. He looked fucking psychotic in that scene. Like, this scene alone was just creepy. Finally, I told him about the time I became a wolf and sacrificed my companions to win. Though, I kept quiet about the sheep and the giant monster for now. Good eye. It was hard to think that he was the main culprit behind the loop, but there was no guarantee that it wouldn't leak out somehow. Him? Huh. Thus, I only told him that I was hanged because Mamiya-san found the flashlight. Hey, I'd also mentioned that Kiyonosuke she died too, and that I'd heard of this thing about his great-grandfather then.
Huh?
After about an hour of talk, he stood up to get more tea. He poured it in, and I gladly drank it. I like Kachi.
Poggers.
Poggers! Unlike before, it was her tea. Okay. And tired from talking, I let the pleasant scent of the tea wash away. Away my fatigue and eyed him. He was hanging his head, looking down at the tea leaves, floating in his tea. He then took the cup in hand, drank some of it, and looked at me.
確かに口頭無形だがね
Bro really likes tea. What a tea connoisseur. I like tea too. Titus? You're right. That does sound absurd. Titus died, y'all. Hello? Maybe it was me? You need to stop spamming them! Well, hope y'all can be patient. He doesn't really like me reading his lines. Whoa, 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 whoa. He's got a nice house, though. Like, why doesn't he just invite everybody from the village to live in his mansion? And confiscate any sort of weapon from them. They can't even get utensils to eat, because you know one of them had to steal a knife and stab someone. They'll use the chandelier. Huh?
Okay, I figured out what happened. My Wi-Fi went out.
Oh, I thought you just kind of went quiet and went somewhere. Maybe something happened. I know, Cyber, but you... Huh?
That does seem absurd.
You would think that he would be, you know, gracious.
しかしこの口頭無形な
However,
場所で
it does seem like something that can happen in this absurd place.
信じていただけるんですか?
You believe me?
極めて強く興味を持った
I'll simply say that I'm more interested in this than ever. But the more I listen, the more I wonder.
君は
What do you want with me?
そこまで
If you have seen so many feasts, surely you know by now.
私はそんな苦境に
I'm not a man who can do much in a dire situation.
We're very well aware of that. He's not very, reliable.
Hey, you leave my boy Nosato alone.
I love him! I'm disagreeing with him.
I'll start with something seemingly unrelated, but I don't quite understand that opinion of yours.
He's not even aware, like, I mean, he believes the looping, but he even can agree that this is fucked up and something like that would happen here, as Cyber says. Yeah.
At first, I thought you were just an arrogant and haughty person.
Same.
Then I thought you were just a village head antagonistic to Yasumizu. I would only say that you are just a bit uncomfortable with your hometown, and that you actually have good discretion and talents.
He has plenty,
You do absurd things sometimes, but I do believe you look at your decisions from a third-person perspective. That makes me feel like you're hiding your true abilities.
Ooh, what can he do?
I honestly am nearly completely sure that the head families are involved in the feast. That's why I believe you might know something, but are hiding it. That's why I want you to tell me what you know about Sumisu's and Fujiyoshi's secrets. Though, as I mentioned before, there may be a more delicate matter here, like the Uematsu family. Even so, I want to hear everything.
私が話下手で
I am
話
bad
すきりもうまくない
at
のは
talking and leading simply because I am that kind of
そうい
person.
う人間だからだよ知っているかと思うが
As you know, the current head of the family is my older brother. He's a great man of character, with immense intelligence and charisma.
私は幼少の頃から
I've been in his shadow ever since I was young.
彼のそばで
Whenever I said or did whatever I want, he would spin it in a way that was good for me. Because everything went so well with him, I began to believe I was blessed with great talent. I realized how mediocre I really was by the time I turned 20. I realized I was bad at reasoning and generally a nuisance. That's why I left this village, though I couldn't find a place for myself outside either.
Aww.
The only place where I felt comfortable was the Sci-Fi Research Society. It's basically a hang for gaudy people like myself. Even so, most of them were smart, and even the president, despite many years, had excellent leadership skills. I became the vice president, and whenever I said anything too apprehensive, speculative, or scaling, he would turn it around for me. I know full well that I can't lead. I imagine that the me you know may try to be useful to Sir Makishima, Yasunaga Oribe, or Muro. I probably couldn't abandon my pride even in that situation. A village head like me has to take charge and whatnot. That's so unreasonable. I truly am a problematic person.
ここまで行ってきてなんです
My
が、
dumbass.
あまり
Please don't
卑
be
下
so
な
Forgot to
hard on
put the
yourself.
fucking link to my
Whatever.
I
whatever.
can see pretty clearly that you're a level-headed person. What was that, Lumi?
I was dumb. I posted the tweet, but I didn't put the link to my channel. But it's also in my bio, so I just did it right now. Yeah.
The only you said things so absurd that I like opening up to you. Remember how I was before I let you inside? A haughty, aggressive, bored man. Well, even if you're a liar, everything you say was made up, I'd consider it worth it for the moment of introspection. At least as long as you don't tell me to pay for your tuition or something.
That's not the first time he's probably been asked that. My heart ached a bit.
そんなこと言いませんよ。
I won't say that, of course.
Poor Kyonosuke. But I was exposing the current him to danger.
Now, back topic. About what you wanted to hear. Unfortunately, family isn't that interesting to me.
それは、つまり、
Even that.
Yes, though I do know the basics of what a village head should know, I know absolutely nothing about what they do behind the scenes. Though, I do know about the holidays between Mizu and Kamafujiyoshi.
それはぜひ、聞きたいで
No,
す。
please tell me.
Uh-oh. Unfortunately, barely anyone knew about the village and the feast, or rather, they all converged upon a certain old story. It was a minor bit of knowledge Kiyanosuke knew as a village head, and he has said that Yasumizu had once rebelled against Kamifujiyoshi. They didn't know what prompted it, but apparently it had something to do with the water used for growing crops. Anyway, the people of Yasumizu invaded Kamifujiyoshi at night, and stole, beat, and killed a lot of people. They were all covered in Saranaga's mud to keep from being identified. Smart. Kamifujiyoshi's inhabitants greatly feared their appearance. Thus, after the rebellion, they decided to make things even worse for Yasumizu, and the inhabitants effectively strangled themselves.
I believe the thing about Saranaga's mud is tied to Fujiyoshi's unique perspective of life and death, particularly Yomi.
例えば、その反乱がきっかけで、
So, did the mud in the rebellion make Kamafujiyoshi believe that the people of Yasumizu were Yomibito?
That's not outside of the question, but not certain either. Yasumizu and Kamifujiyoshi had already segregated, and it wasn't unlikely that there could be a rebellion.
Okay.
Hey, yo!
It's a good soundtrack.
It was likely that the idea to cover themselves in mud was linked to the legend that the Saranaga was Yomi and intended to frighten people.
なるほど。じゃあ、
I
そ
see.
の事件はどう捉え
So,
るべきな
how
んでしょ
should
う
we
か
look at this event?
If we use this soundtrack while studying, our knowledge would go up 500%. FBI, open up!
One, it was the reason for the Shinai Festival, the mountain festival that is still held today. They have a tradition to hold a parade of wolves, and it symbolizes the subduing and bringing down of the people of Yasumizu.
Yes, I
Have you
remember
seen the-
those. Sorry.
Have you seen the cloth masks they use while farming?
ええ。安水の者が
So that the people of Yasumizu don't look into the eyes of the Yomibito.
It's the other way around. It's so that the people of Kamifujiyoshi wouldn't have to look into the eyes of the people of Yasumizu, who may or may not be Yamibito.
Ooh.
These old, unreasonable superstitions are still alive because they crossed the line once. That's what the village heads believe. Saying it out loud, I realize how truly awful it is.
そんな祭りや風習が
Why is such a festival and tradition still alive to this day?
That festival might actually be important for Yasumizu. Do you know why?
ええ。存じません。
I don't.
The wolf parade passes all the Okiba in Yasumizu, splashes water on the residents, and meets the village representative in the hall.
Tai-san, huh?
The wolves would offer some things to the representative, and after thanking them for the festival's success, give them a lot of money and other goods.
Wow. It was a business.
普段経済的に
So
孤立させ
isolate
て
Yasumizu economically and only pamper the place during these festivals.
Exactly. You might say that this is just another way Kamifujiyoshi controlled Yasumizu. The money and goods are split among the inhabitants, and I hear it really helps them get by. This was only done out of fear that Yasumizu could rebel again. Just so you know, the Nosato don't approve of this. Only the Miguruma are fixated on it. And they're the top of Fujiyoshi. Though the Higuchi are in on it too, they believe that trampling all over Yasumizu is the logical thing to do. What an incomprehensible bunch.
あなたが知る限りの野里家は
So as far as you know,
こ
the
の支配
Nosato
体
don't
制を
approve
よ
of
く
this
思って
tyranny.
はいないと
Yes, I can't deny that, as far as I know.
すみません。はっき
I'm
りさせない
sorry,
といけな
I
いの
need
で
to make something clear.
実
It
のこと
confuses me.
今の野里あなたは先ほど反乱
You
は
said that the
迷信のきっかけ
rebellion
では
wasn't
ない
the
だろうと
result
お
of
っしゃいました
superstition, but that means that it's not certain if the mountain festival was caused by the rebellion either.
そして山祭りと夜
Also,
の
the
宴は
festival and the feast
良
are
きから
closely
実
linked.
務上の役割
You
ま
can
で
even see it in the methods and roles.
Well, you mentioned that the divine sake was drunk in the feast as well. Are you sure it's not a coincidence?
筆記具や縄や
If they donate paper, writing tools, and rope, it would mean that at least the Miguruma know about
身
what
車の
happens
宴の
in the
段取りを
feast.
知っていると考えるべきというかここまで来れば
Hell, at this point, I'm willing to say it with absolute certainty. The Feast of the Yomi Purge is a severe crime committed by the head families to intimidate and control Yasumizu.
さすがに
I have an argument. You said that the feast involves monsters, doors that unlock themselves, and supernatural punishments. It's a paranormal event. If you are certain that the head families are responsible, I would like a scientific explanation for all the strange events.
そんなものつきますよ。
That's easy.
なんだと
What?
ただ、それを
Before I
説明
get
す
to
る前
that,
に
though, I
お
would
願い
like
した
to
いことがあ
ask
ります。
something.
このお屋敷の蔵書や
Can you
資料
show me
類を
the documents and writings collected in this mansion?
We get into it! I ended up being disappointed once. Oh. This house had a storage building, and there were archives there. There had been a lot of documents left by Kiyonosuke Ishii's great-grandfather, but they'd been sorted out after he died. Thus, there were barely anything left, and the record storage was just more general storage. Even so, I insisted on taking a look, and now I was here. It really was just a place stuffed with various things.
この建物はそもそも現状はただの物置として使わ
I
れてい
guess
る
there was
という
no
こと
lie that this whole mansion really is just a place to stash things.
ああしかしたまに人が住
Yes,
んだこと
but
もある
we do have people living here sometimes.
例えばどんな方が
Like who?
先々代先代の当主
The
は
previous two heads of the family lived here
外
before,
屋敷にこもっていた
after they'd retired.
つまりあなたのお父様も
So your father, too?
ああ移住後急に
Yes. He quickly grew senile and died of poisoning.
それは本当ですか？いつ頃の話ですか一体？
Is that true? When did that happen?
8年前だよ
8 years ago.
Grew senile. Oh
前
dear.
回の宴がなされた年。
That's when the previous feasts happened.
Oh.
何
What?
確かに霧が出た後のことではある
Oh, yes, it happened after the mist.
宴
There
は
was a
行われて
feast
いたの
back
か
then.
はい。あなたの
Yes,
辞書
the
で人が
official
たくさん
report
死んだ
that
の
people
も
died in the landslide at your construction site must have been a cover for that.
なんてことだ待ちたまえ
What?
とすると君は
Wait, are you saying that my father knew something and died because of it?
可能性はあります。
It's
加えて野
possible.
里屋敷が
And then there's the fact that this mansion was used as the retirement home of the previous Nosato heads.
僕はここにまだ
I think we
隠され
might
た何か
find something
があ
here.
ると思います。あなたが言う
If the Nosato really are against the control structure in Fujiyoshi, that's even more likely.
なおさらその可能性は高い。
探そう
Let's look.
残されている
If
とすれ
there
ば
is still something here,
隠されているはずですね。
It must be hidden.
しかし
but the mansion
屋
is
敷
too
は裏を
large,
含めると
and
広す
we
ぎる
don't even know what we will
ま
be
して
looking
探す
for.
ものの大きさもわからないとなると
いや、ある程度
I'm
大きな
sure it
もので
must
す
be
よ
something big.
探すべきは
It has to be large enough for the previous heads to hide,
隠れて
write,
書き物
and
や調べ
research.
物ができるほどのおそらくは隠し部屋のよ
Secret
うな
room.
図面があったはずだ
I have a blueprint of the place.
Here we go. Maybe? He opened it, and we went around the mansion. There was nothing strange here. There were no empty spaces, and I didn't see any discrepancies within the actual building. Same went for the storage building.
骨折り損ではないかね
Isn't this a waste of time?
いいえ図面に問題
No,
がなく
if the blueprint
実際
isn't
の
vacant
建物
anywhere,
と同じここに嘘を書かなくてもいい場
there
所に
must be
隠し部屋
something
があ
in
る
a
ことになり
place
ま
it
す
doesn't cover.
どういうことだ
What do you mean?
蔵の地下に行きましょう
Let's check the basement of the storage building.
なるほどつまり地下ならば図面の外に
I
はみ出した
see.
空間があっても
If there's a secret room in the basement, it wouldn't affect the blueprints because it would be outside of their boundaries.
そうです
Yeah,
嘘はつかないで
the
す。
blueprint doesn't have to show false information, it just has to avoid showing it.
しかし地下は
That will make the search even more difficult.
Well, he was right that sifting through the mess there would take forever. But we could make it a lot easier if we focused on the floor and the walls. I'd left my bag in the prefab, so I had no flashlight. I asked Nosato-san for something, and he prepared an aged oil lamp.
つ
Genius.
くづく物持ちが良くてらっしゃいますね。
You have all sorts of things laying around, huh?
懐中電灯も探せばあるだろう
There's
が
probably a flashlight somewhere, but this suits the atmosphere, right?
That's awesome. I always wanted to buy one of those. I knew exactly what he meant.
I used to have an oil lamp.
Ooh. I've seen them at... What store have we gone to where they have them and they sell them? I can't remember exactly, but I've been contemplating to buy one. That's cool, though. It took us less than an hour to find it. Of course, it wasn't something that looked like what we were searching for at first glance. My pop quiz is incoming? Oh, I'm gonna either pass or fail miserably.
Yeah. Remember when I told you to take a picture of something?
Yes! I have that somewhere.
Good.
On my iPad. Let me get it real quick. I found it. Here we go. But it did seem a bit unnatural. There was a palm-sized crow carved on a wooden surface below the mortar wall. It was martyr? It was the symbol of the Nosato family.
何かの目印ではないですか。
Is it a clue?
あるいは仕掛
Or
けか
some sort of mechanism.
やはりただの
It's
木彫
not
りでは
just a
ない
carving.
カラ
It's
スの
part
体
of a
の各
separate,
部が
movable
ボタンですか。ゲーム
buttons.
みたいだな。
So it's like a game.
So he wasn't the only Nosato with strange hobbies, huh?
おそらく特定の順で操作をす
I
る
imagine it
仕掛けが
expects
作
you
動
to
するの
press
だろ
them
う
in
が
order, but
心当た
Do
り
you
はあり
know
ます
any
か。
hints?
カラスの志
the will of the crow.
そう不死吉に捧ぐる
I
が
was gonna bring it
カ
up.
ラスの志なり
Offering those up to Fushioshi shall be as the will of the crow.
That had to be it.
野里家のものならば開けられるって
So
わけですか。
Nosato can open it easily, huh?
ああ他言無用の
Yes,
家訓だ
we
から
never repeat that teaching to anyone who isn't
失
family.
敗した時どう先々先代が作らせ
It
た
was
仕
made
掛
by
け
my great grandfather.
罠の一つや
Then
二
it
つ
must be a trap
思考であ
too.
ってもおかしい
本気ですか。い
Seriously?
やしかし、
But
野
it's no
里さん
problem
は
for
問
you,
題な
is
く
it?
開けられるはず。
何だったか
What was it
な爪
again?
だったか
Law?
羽だったか
Feather?
まずい自信が
Oh
ない
no, I'm not sure.
覚えてい
You
ないか
remember it?
Oh, gladly we do. Hey! Devour the claw and steal the scales. Wait. Devour the eyes and steal the writings. Devour the tongue and steal the words. Claws, scales. Claw, eye, tongue? Feather, claw, eye. This is a little weirdly worded. Devour the claw and steal the scales. There's no tongue. Beak? Does that count? Because then it would be the last one.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. Alrighty.
確か、爪を食ってはどう
I'm
の
pretty sure it's
目を
something
食っ
like
てはどうの
devour the
くち
claw,
ばしを食ってはどう
eye,
の
and
とい
beak.
う感じ。
そうかそれでやってみよう
Really? Let's try it.
What happens when you fail? He quickly pressed the buttons as I told him. A moment later, a part of the wall turned 90 degrees. It opened up a space through which an adult...
Oh, if you fail, the floor opens up beneath you and you fall into a pit of spikes and die.
I figured. I knew it was something like that. Though probably not Hashimoto-san could pass.
お好きだったんでしょうね。
He liked this kind of thing, I assume.
Indiana Jones had ass.
いやはやなんとも恥ずかしいしかし
Oh, how embarrassing. But I can't help but feel excited myself. It must be in my blood.
大丈夫です。
Don't worry, I feel you.
Thank you for the head pat, Star. I'll just pat myself IRL and do this.
Love you, Star.
Much love here. Where is it? You little goober. Hope you're enjoying our silliness. Cyber? Oh, he feels you. Oh goodness, don't make it weird. Oh, what did that say? Sorry. We bantered nonchalantly despite the dire situation. Once we made it inside, we had to pass through some hanging dried
なんだこ
herbs.
れ。音切り草かなんかですか？
What's this? St. John's wort.
君もディープだな。
Aren't you
虫除け
knowledgeable?
になる草が束
It's
ねてあ
just
る
some herbs to repel bugs. Don't mind it.
なるほど。
You
And it
do?
seems you were,
書庫のようになってい
it
る。
seems you are right. It's a study. It's tight in here, but the length is good. Hey, yo!
Hey, yo! Phrasing!
めぼしいところから見ていきましょう。
Let's see what we can find.
That's a little bit more than a bromance going on over here.
いいんだ。
I hope we have records made by the previous heads.
Are you being like brutally honest, Starfire? Or do you mean like in the terms of your model and your lore? I was surprised when Slade and Delilah told me they do that stuff.
ありましたよ。
Like in a
She
good
does
way.
what?
But she says she practices witchcraft, so she has a ton of herbs and has the same
Oh yeah, no,
John's wort.
she does that in real life as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
She does.
crazy. Small world.
Yeah.
早速かね。
Oh my.
ちょっと貸してくれたまえ。
Already? Let me look.
Interesting. Wart, not wart, my bad. There's the scene I was talking about. We started looking around. Like we expected, the thick diary had writings left all by previous heads of the Nosato family. It began with his great-grandfather, and the others added more after their retirements. Okay, old word for plant, got it. Thank you, Cyber. All of them had strange handwriting, and according to what Kiyonosuke she could make out, it was a highly detailed document and had references to the other texts here. You could really tell it belonged to a family of scholars. The index on the diary referenced the documents all over the room. And the diary itself was like a description of what went on behind the scenes in Fujiyoshi. Shit. We get the deets now! Kiyonosuke Shi's grandfather, was a genius who gathered immense wealth, but also a madman who threw it all away. His writings were especially difficult to read, analyze, and understand. However, the feeling behind it couldn't be more obvious. It was anguish. Anguish at the fact that he'd found a rational solution and began to doubt the superstitions. The preamble went something like this. Why do we submit to Great Lord Shinai? Outsiders would see our beliefs as pure madness. Even so, we take the passion we should direct to our parents and children and instead dedicate it to our faith. That alone would not mean much, but when you see the shadow of Great Lord Shinai over our daily lives, we become fearful and absolutely loyal to him like well-trained dogs. The slavery of the mind will shackle us when the era of enlightenment reaches our home. This is why I've decided to take up the will of the crow I neglected and began my research. I hope that it bears fruit, and mankind, not God, benefits from it, breaking free of the centuries of ignorance. This was written by Kiyonosuke Shi's great-grandfather shortly after his role as head was passed down when he was still in his healthy 40s. Upon reading this, Kiyonosuke Shi looked conflicted. The great-grandfather he thought to be a madman was actually both reasonable and intelligent. I also had something to think about. He'd challenged God. That absurd endeavor might have been the reason why he'd gone mad. The diary
Okay,
had...
but which god did he challenge? Did he challenge, like, Haru's god?
It
Did
doesn't
he challenge
really-
Shinai? Or
It-
did he challenge the third unnamed god?
By the way it's talking, it seems like he challenged Shinai.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume. Because they, like, literally would, like, once shit went down, and, you know, they believed Shinai would do something to them, they sat the fuck down. Typing on phone, no, it's okay. The diary had 3 sections. In the first one, the great-grandfather tried to pinpoint the origin of Fujiyoshi. He wanted to find the invisible chains binding him by looking at where they started and where they were going. However, that was difficult. Trying to find documents in Fujiyoshi would have attracted the attention of the other families, particularly the Miyaguruma, who would then obstruct his work. Our legends say that we were protected by Shinai-sama. By looking for proof claiming otherwise, we would be betraying his compassion, and that was the height of disrespect. It was also a time when not everyone went to school, and literacy levels were really low. Thus, everybody was really stupid. Thus, most of the records were held by head families. Though, and again, you can be smart without
Man,
school.
today literacy rates are really low.
Gen Z, bro. It's Gen
No,
Z.
honestly, like
I
middle
agree.
schoolers are having a hard time reading at like 2nd grade level. Like there are
No
studies.
way. That's
Yes,
terrible.
there are middle schoolers who can't even read at an elementary school level, and it's sad.
Oh my gosh.
It really makes you wonder how they're able to interact online if they can't even like read and write.
Right. They'd probably just adapt through things they see on social media, and that's the worst.
They probably use like speech to text.
I guess that's one way to learn from an AI, right? However, there was no record of one of them trying to check another family's records, and that would obviously be met with opposition. Thus, he looked at his historical documents from outside Fujiyoshi. With the settlement being such a strange place, he figured that there would be many records about it made by the outsiders. He was completely right. There were lots of old writings in the nearby villages and towns. Since it was wartime and the economy was dire, the paper was about to be wasted on fixed lighting. He used his own funds to acquire these precious documents. They were now organized and placed somewhere in the room, but anyway... He was able to locate Fujiyoshi's roots. It happened 600 years ago, during the Muromachi period, a bit before the Sengoku. According to the documents, the place now known as Kame Fujiyoshi began as a hunter settlement. Oh. The place was a hunting ground for centuries. Game meat had only spread among the common people during the Meiji period, but the common folk had been eating it for long before that. At first, it was just a settlement of cabins for the hunters from nearby villages to rest or shelter, and places to skin and prepare the meat. But once the people realized how rich the area was in game, they began colonizing the place. As a result, a part of Kame Fujiyoshi was born, and the people began living here either as farmers or hunters. The settlement had no name yet. However, these extremely old documents referred to it as the Okami village or something similar. Not Okami as in Okame-sama, but Okami as in wolves, the canine beast. Apparently this place really had wolves before, not mountain dogs or badgers, but actual wolves. That was no secret though, the Shinai shrine run by the Miguruma had actual wolf bones in it. However, according to the documents during the settlement's development, the place was often attacked by wolves that caused major damage. They'd probably tried many things to deal with them, but the documents wrote down one very simple method. The people of the wolf village prepared a human sacrifice and co-assigned them to flame. Human sacrifice. It was a practice that had existed in Japan for a long time. During construction or whatnot, people would be killed and buried as offerings to prevent misfortune. I'd heard of human sacrifices made to prevent bridges from being taken away by floods, or people buried during castle fortification. It was a pretty big deal. Still, it wasn't weird to do it to prevent a beast-related problem. It did seem like a plausible story, so I wasn't surprised. Neither of us were specialists, but from what I knew, people tried to benefit from sacrifices by later on worshipping them as gods. I'd even heard that the pillar, kanji, used to count gods was based on the term for human sacrifice. Anyway, following the sacrifice, the beast attacks subsided and the settlement continued to grow. At this point, the upper settlement, once known as the Okami village, now Kamafujiyoshi, was surrounded by cabins and other settlements. Through irrigation, these settlements gathered water from the village, the wolf village. I figured they were burned alive, Cyber. One of these settlements was a dangerous place that was often covered in mist that led people to their deaths, and for some reason the locals found it really important. Kiyonosuke Shi, his great-grandfather, and myself figured that it had to be Yasumizu. And if they took water from Kamifujiyoshi, it wasn't hard to imagine the hierarchical relationship between the settlements had already existed then. Here, am I saying that wrong? No, I'm spelling it wrong. No, maybe it's right. In agricultural societies, the settlements that controlled the supply of waters were extremely influential. After all, if they stopped the flow, the settlements below would dry out. It was even related to the Yasumizu rebellion that Kiyonosuke Shi told me about. I couldn't ignore this point.
What's up, bitch?
Hi. Though there was no mention of Yasumizu or the local superstitions yet. All that the document said was that the wolf village was steadily progressing as a settlement. However, there was a mention of a fearsome beast yokai or god that ate people. Though it was only mentioned in the oldest documents, they never heard from again. Listen, you'll get some lines soon. Relax. Alright. Cut it out.
A god, a powerless god. That's not enough. The legends don't say anything about... Wait. The badger.
The badger!
Do you hate that name?
Not at all.
Badger.
Badger. It is not wrong in the least. It is a fitting name for someone wearing the marks of Great Lord Shinai and acting as the leader of these mutts.
Bitch, you're literally wearing toilet paper.
Legit. Toilet paper all over her face. Not this fucker.
So why not try joining me?
He sounds like a creep!
My land may be small, but I will make sure you are not bored.
Killing myself. It had to be God. What about Mako? We didn't even bring that up? She said she was defeated by Great Lord Shinai, but never mentioned when it happened. To the left side of the kanji for God, there's a radical for Sho, and it's even more obvious in its old form. This means that the result is Okami, Great God. Yeah, don't worry about it. She's just a normal girl, right, Cyber? Right, chat? I was close to the truth. But for now, back to the history. Okay, more reading. Fujiyoshi had started out as your typical hunting/farming settlement. Things changed after about a century, when life in the settlement had stabilized. By this point, the records left by the outsiders started noting that there was a strange village in the mountains. The sources had started to become many and varied too. She would be nerding out so much over those documents. It would be cute. I was curious about how the great-grandfather got documents from Kyoto and Tokyo. Just throw Yasunaga and her down there, and they'll be reading those documents with Kiyonosuke and just geeking out. But anyway, these reports were records written by travelers who'd stopped at here. Many of them were interested in the local customs. One was their hate for mountain fires. It was so bad that outsiders weren't allowed to make any flames, and they themselves had a special watering hole where they did it. Where they did what? One was their worship of a humanoid wolf statue. They asked it for good fortune in the hunt and a peaceful life in the mountains. Aww. One was the special, misty place where travelers were summoned and welcomed by sensual women. Some rumors mentioned seemed hardly believable, but some of them were still alive, and I was surprised to know how old they were. What bothered me was the fact that there were many records of the invitations to the misty place, but nothing about getting killed there. In fact, most of them mentioned eating good meat and veggies and drinking good sake while having fun with beautiful girls. It was safe to assume that the Feast of the Yomi Purge hadn't existed back then. It was closer to the traditional treatment of guests as described by Rikako-san, women servants.
ちなみにマロードっていうのは何か来訪者をもてなす文化みたいなものがあるのですか
Titus, it's your turn.
Yeah, I know. By the way, you seem pretty hung up on guests. Is there some sort of local culture related to that?
I ain't rushing you, I'm just letting you know. Yes, I hear that Fujiyoshi was once full of visitors who came to Shinai Shrine to pray for the good hunting. Hunters from the outside were considered honored guests and treated kindly around here. However, there was one thing she seemed to be wrong about. The strange village in the records was a completely different place than the one built around the Shinai Shrine that she spoke of. In fact, there wasn't a single mention of Shinai at this point. The general area here was marked as Kachihara. Would things change if we continued further? Anyways, we kept reading. Such records continued for 2 or 3 decades, but there was a period that wasn't recorded at all. Apparently, the travelers who made their way to the area started being chased out. Oh my goodness, and that's it. Them sneaking baked potato getting to me, man. The settlement suddenly became isolated. Without any documents from the village itself, it was hard to know exactly what happened during this time. But according to the Nosato documents, this time period was how far they could trace their lineage back. After that, the settlement showed up in records another century later. It was the middle of the Edo period, peaceful times, and the amount of records appeared to have exploded. Along with the name Shinai. There is a hidden mountain where the people worship a wolf-faced god and prosper because of it. It is said that the hunters who do not pay their respects to him get lost or injured in the mountains. It is a spiritual place that a mountain ascetic should visit at least once. Their prayers seem to heal all. There are oracles who can predict the future with great accuracy. The non-believers who step on the mountain are in for a terrible fate. Amerikaya! Hello! Hello! The name of the god they worship is Shinai. And the village is called Fushiyoshi. Hey, yo, what? Sega!
そういうことだったのか
Fusaishi Fushiyoshi. Are you the god and you're... Oh no, wait, I'm kidding. I lurched forward.
I am God.
And shouted with excitement.
確かに
I know.
かつてこの村は
True.
フシヨシと呼ぶ
I
のが
did
正しく
hear that this village was once called Fujiyoshi. But what's so important about that?
新内さんと同じ仕掛けですよ新内という字をばら
It's
し
the
て組
same
み替え
trick
ると
with the name Shinai-san. When you take apart the kanji for Shinai into
Whatever that
And-
is.
You can rearrange them into Ukami, great god, which is as phonetically identical to wolf.
Mm,
おお
Yamami is
Oh,
smart.
you're right. Hey, wait.
それと
Then you
同じだ
mean
と
that this is the same?
不死吉伏せの字は
Look at the name Fushiyoshi. The first kanji contains the radical for dog,
犬は
What the dog
武士
doing?
としては
Dog.
剣です
covers the animal
獣
radical
編も含まれる
that's used in the left kanji.
それに量を並べるんです
Keeping that in mind, you line that up with the Yoshi in Fujiyoshi to get
Fushiyoshi.
Fushiyoshi.
Oh, you can read it.
No, you read it. You're the narrator.
Okay. If you broke apart the first kanji, you'd get person, dog, and good. Then by combining the latter two kanji into one and putting the whole thing together again, you got Hito Okami, or werewolf.
人狼人狼
Werewolf.
人を
Werewolf Hito Okami.
それは狼
Does that
様
refer to the
それ
Okami
とも
sama
信頼名
the
字に
Great Lord Shinai?
その2つは基本的には同じものです。ある神様の
The
穏
two
や
of
か
them
な
are
像が信
essentially
頼
the
名字
same.
で、
One
風流
takes
像
the
が
form
狼
of the
様という
peaceful
程度。
god, Great Lord Shinai, while the other takes the form of the resentful Ukami sama.
3人組の人狼という形があっ
They
て、
both take the
やってい
shape
る
of
ことが違
three
うだけ。
werewolves, but do different
同
things.
一視する方が自
I
然です
really
よ。
can't blame people for seeing them as the same. So Shinai and Okami are actually the two separate gods, and then the
The
badger is
badger's
the
the
third one.
third. Okay, yeah, I just put that together. Interesting. So the
そもそも
ones that we saw were
人
them.
狼人狼を信仰する文脈自体はこの100
When
年
we
前か
were
らすでに文献
selected
に出ていた
as
わけで
wolves
す。
and we saw it in the
Yeah.
dream. Okay.
Well, both Shinai and Ukami are represented by three wolves.
Cyber says Shinai and Okami are the same god. So there's the one with Mako, the banjo, and the Shinai sama.
The banjo?
I mean, badger. Sorry. The badger, Shinai sama, and the one that's in Mako.
I am the banjo god. I play banjo.
Oh my god, no. It was a mystery. The three gods are Wolf, Badger, Spider, Okami, Mujina, and Tsuchigumo.
Yes, those are three.
That's totally three. That's six.
Let's not forget that we have documents saying that there was a culture here that worshipped werewolves at least a century ago.
もともと狼による
There's a
従来があって
semicolon. Oh. Okay.
人狼の原始信仰が起こり、長い
They
時を
probably had some beast
Shinai-sama
attacks, started holding human sacrifices, and built a primitive faith around werewolves. And as the time passed, that evolved into Shinai-sama.
So I don't know who the wolf is, but the badger is Haru, and if it's Spider, I'm gonna assume it's Rikako. I don't know about the wolf
Good
though.
job.
Yeah, Rikako's batshit insane. We love it. And
Chiemi
Mako's-
is a wolf. Remember
Chiemi's
because
a
the
wolf?
Mikaruma?
So what? Oh, she's the wolf?
そ
Oh,
して当初
wait a minute.
彼らはそれら
It's all the
同じ
three
She was-
main girls of the story!
Yes, you've been falling in love with gods.
No, bro.
Ukami-sama
Oh
is
my
a divinity
God.
born during one of those stages, and to the people of that era, they were the same thing.
Bro trying to tap a sentimental being. They're all... Why are they all the three? What? That's crazy. I'm glad Mako's a normal girl. That's my sweet daughter.
伏
Okay.
吉村の人間たちは
Did I skip something?
She just got possessed by the badger after Haru
そ
died.
の上で自分たちの
Oh,
村
got
々に
it.
それを隠した
Makes sense.
The villagers of of Fushioshi were fully aware of their religion's peculiarities, and even hid that in their own village's name.
なぜ隠したのだろう
Why did they hide it in the
きっ
first
とその
place?
考察も先
I'm
にある
sure
は
we'll
ずだ
find more hints up ahead.
So, do these people in the village not know how to perform an exorcism? Hello? Get the demons out of Rikako!
Do you know how to
No.
perform an exorcism?
No, that's why if I was sentenced to this village, I'd die. Get the demons out
You
of
don't know how to do it.
Rikako, Chiemi, and Haru. I don't need to be the one to do it.
You're-
Somebody in
You're
this village.
you're talking some big game like, oh, how do they not know how to do it? You know?
No, but there's
Nah.
a first time for everything.
It's not something that's common
You would
knowledge,
figure
Lumi.
through
You say,
all the loops that they die
You
in, they
say
would
that like-
perform an exorcism?
you say that like, oh, it's like they don't know how to tie their shoes or something. No, this is a fucking exorcism. That's like me asking you, oh, you don't know how to pilot a space shuttle?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
no shit. You gotta be trained in that.
Like Steiber says, the problem is the Uematsu are the ones who perform exorcisms. So maybe Rikako has the ability to, but she wouldn't do it. Because, you know, she's cuckoo like that. Anyway. Just a thought, you know, maybe Haruaki could try it sometime for a joke ending. You get the
Oh
group
yeah, you
together
could
and-
totally do it.
Yeah, I'm sure they could give it a shot. Did you reach your line?
Yes.
I mean, they'll just die and reloop anyway, so they might as well try to exorcism everyone.
進みましょう。
I'm sure Kaori has
You're right.
some skills.
Let's move on.
Takumi would be trying to count to 4 on his fingers. The great grandfather.
1,
2. I love
2,
Takumi.
2, 7.
I'm such a himbo. 75. Ryan, hi! The great grandfather seemed to have noticed these hidden words too. The reports that followed genuinely described Fujiyoshi as it was. Though their strange practices were now considered rituals, and it seemed to be prosper as a cult village. And the other thing is somebody's dreaming, so they gotta wake up whoever's dreaming. It was a mountain village far from the rest of civilization, yet it prospered through the money left behind by guests who made the trip regardless.
Plot twist, Haruaki's the one who's dreaming.
No, man, it's probably Kiyonosuke Shi. If it's Haruaki, you better wake up. Well, he did break up with his girlfriend before he came here, so I guess he could be kind of depressed. There were now 2 types of guests here. The ones who visited the place to hunt, and the ones that came for religious reasons. The writings from the later dates included lots of those left by monks who'd come here to study the culture. All of them were surprised by the strange faith and legends of Fujiyoshi, and praised the strength of their belief. Some wrote about the faith in detail. Many of them clearly named the 4 head families and the legend about the 5 guardians. It was Kyo that dreamed to end when he died, right? And Chiemi and Haruaki have both persisted beyond the death of the other. Yeah, so it's neither of those 3 then? The hunters, however, didn't leave many writings. Watch it be Mako, that would be hilarious. It's just Mako. Or rather, it wasn't even their writings. Besides a couple reports by local lords of someone hunting down large beasts on Mount Shinai, there were also those that simply mentioned men who went hunting in Fushioshi and never returned. Fushioshi, yes, it is it. One of them clearly stated, "Do not hunt in Fushioshi in the summer. The people of Fushioshi speak of the curse of Yasumizu." Nande?
なるほど。明らかに100年の沈黙の間にシアスという村は誕生した。
Yes, we
I
need.
see. Fushioshi has changed a lot over the century.
Hashimoto, stop chewing on your chips during the feast.
ですね。
I'll take a potato chip.
And I'll eat it.
そして物語の類は全部この時代に創作された
Yes,
と考えるべき
it's
で
fair
しょ
to
う。
assume that all the local names and stories were created during this time.
安水の意味合いも変わっている。
Yasumizu seems to be leaving a different impression too. The hunters who visit this place don't come back. That must mean that
読み意味の宴が
The Feast of the Yomi Purge had begun.
The history continued. After a while of prosperity, due to the Shinai cult, Fushioshi began to deteriorate come Meiji. The new government centralized power, rural areas began to be developed, and the religious reforms established Shinto as the state religion. The anti-Buddhist movement of the era planned a complete separation of Shinto and Buddhism, destroying many Buddhist temples, customs, and cultural assets, dealing another blow to the village in its face. This could easily be found in the Nosato records, but it was admitted here that the Uematsu were particularly damaging for them. Well, there was no denying that the Uematsu culture seemed Buddhist in nature, and the shut up! Prostitution part must have made them targets of harsh regimes. The Shinai faith, which had many strange rituals, had to either cease and or discard them, or turn them into something more cultural accepted. However, they did keep a few of them. Before moving on to the next chapter, we put together the region names of Fushioshi. Are you done? Which the great grandfather discovered from the archives. According to him, Fushioshi... Do you want me to skip all this? It's a lot of
No,
reading. I
keep going.
know.
Keep going.
Namiguruma had Fushiki, where the Shinai-sama was built. I know, but he's just... He's playing sounds like his board. What do you want me to do? I gotta read it! The Higuchi...
Keep reading.
I am trying. Had Hoshizuki, where people gathered. The Nosato had Tomiguchi, the medical plant field right beside Kagegawa. And last, the Uematsu were given the Hacho, the lodging area. According to Kiyonosuke-shi, these regions remained in Kamifujiyoshi to this day.
I love you, bitch.
I ain't never gonna stop loving you,
I ain't gonna never
bitch.
stop loving you, bitch.
In fact, the names of these regions had existed from the era when the name Fushiyoshi, I hate that noise, began to spread to the outside, as was the designation Kamifujiyoshi. I'm not gonna mute Titus, that's mean! On the other hand, I'm not like that annoyed at him, but good idea. Places aside, I'll just turn down my volume on my side. There you go. Places aside from Kamifujiyoshi had already been clearly identified and named, such as Yasumizu. Big Bean! It's like very low. There you go.
Yasumizu.
I can speak again.
Yay!
Not Yasumizu, spelled with the kanji for rest and water, but rather rest and lord.
なるほど。
I
ここへ
see.
来て
My great-grandfather reached the same conclusions as us, then.
不思議は
If you swap the kanji for
つまり
fushiki around and combine them into one, you get comb, for hair.
星月は肝
When hoshizuki,
肝臓か
you do the same trick, then combine them to get liver. Huh.
影川の旧表記
Kagekawa was originally written as... Put the first kanji on top of the latter, and you get bone.
留口はわかりやすい
Tomeguchi is a no-brainer.
足
Put Gucci on top of Tome, and you get foot.
そして八丁は
And with Hachao, you place the second kanji between the first and get claw.
上藤吉の地名は
So the region names of Kamifujiyoshi were divided up and based on body parts.
そして安水は
And then we get to the real spelling of Yasumizu.
主に分
Break
割
the
して
first
組み合わせ
kanji
れば
down and you're left with person, tree, and lord. Combine the latter two into one kanji and then put the full word together and you get
人柱
human sacrifice.
Whoa, I didn't know that. I'm kidding. His
So
great...
you did know it.
Yeah, a little bit, because he said it earlier. His great-grandfather seemed to have no clue about the purpose of the names. However, he did guess that the oldest one was either Fushiyoshi or Yasumizu, while the other names were new. He concluded that link between those names and the words werewolf and human sacrifice were related. There was another thing here. He guessed that Kamifujiyoshi was named after body parts to represent a single human as a way of responding to or opposing Yasumizu. Another guess was that, by burying the sentiment in the name instead of burying people in the ground, they'd avoided killing their own. Honestly, it seemed to me like we didn't have enough to understand the true intention behind this. Though, the fact that they hid the words human sacrifice in Yasumizu was pretty shady. You could assume that it was named that because it was a human sacrifice meant to help the area, including Kamifujiyoshi, prosper. Or perhaps it was related to the human sacrifice from the origin of the village. Regardless, there were definitely ulterior motives behind the names. As one who knew Yasumizu's future, I was certain of that. Fushiyoshi and Yasumizu had become Fushiyoshi and Yasumizu during the Meiji period, and became part of a single area. The great-grandfather concluded that the naming was based on local conventions, and that it was meant to hide the village's past. He had nowhere to continue from here, and his writing in the diary died. Or ended, what? The next section was started out by Kiyonosuke-shi's great-grandfather, But after his writing grew worse and finally stopped, his son took over. According to Kiyonosuke Shi, his great-grandfather had gotten a mental illness and started acting eccentric. He'd seen it with his own eyes. The final reasonable bits of writing left behind by him cursed his deteriorating mind and hoped that his descendants would take over his research. His wish was fulfilled when Kiyonosuke Shi's grandfather found this room and took over. This section was primarily made to give detailed descriptions to the outdated rites and customs of Fushioshi. Naturally, the lack of historical accounts was a hindrance. However, the documents owned by the Nosato family and the knowledge he gained as the head made it possible to do it. He was also married to someone with ties to the Miguruma, so he also gained access to some Miguruma records. Having gathered info from various sources, he reached some reliable conclusions. Though, his efforts to gather information had made him the target of the other head families. His mind also seemed to deteriorate during his twilight years. The final bits of writing in the diary seemed to scream his fear of death. He died on May 1st, 15 years ago. The text here made it evident that he died in the Feast of the Yomi Purge. As the hand of the supernatural looms over us and takes our lives, I realize that I am losing control of my mind. Now that I have seen the might of God, I was to venerate. What duty do I have to continue the previous head's research into our homeland of Fushioji? What is it?
You said duty.
Where? Oh, yeah, what duty?
She said duty.
That's part of the word.
That it's like poop.
Yes, it is. I was literally watching this Kesa video all day. I will probably be hanged tomorrow, and in all honesty, it seemed like a favorable outcome at this point. What if the irresistible urge to sleep faded, and I opened my eyes to see the wolf-faced god? I would be unable to bear the fear. The wolf's bane I shall use to end my life lies in my hand. And that was it. Kiyonosuke Shi's voice was shaking. From what he said, his grandfather was an intelligent gentleman that he knew personally and respected immensely. Anyway, the text here could be summed up as thus.
A body has been discovered!
Fushioshi had several strange rites and customs. When combined with the ones unique to specific head families, the number grew exponentially. It revealed all the details about these things, and even had information we really didn't care about right now. The content about the Uematsu was particularly harsh, even though it was noted that not everything was included here. Info about the Miguruma, however, was extremely limited. However, it was said that horrible screams could be heard from their storehouse. That day, I playfully opened the iron door to the basement of the third lookout. I was told never to go there, and the door had that symbol on it. And... Wait, what are we referring to? It was a morbidly interesting read, but there was only one thing that mattered to us. It was the custom of lynching in Yasumizu. They really like to lynch. It was basically describing the Feast of the Yomi Purge. The Okami-sama would return from Yomi to get revenge for being killed. The story was the same. There were two notable points here. One was that it had apparently began about 500 years ago, after the village closed itself off from the world. And the other was that Kamifujiyoshi was mostly uninvolved in the feasts of that era. Kiyonosuke Shi's grandfather examined the feast's origin from various angles. He investigated the stones in the Hanging Pines graveyard, looked at the records of Kamifujiyoshi's mason, and concluded that Kamifujiyoshi were making the graves. I fucking knew it. And according to the mason records, the Okiba were placed in Yasumizu at this time too. Ever since like the beginning, it was super fishy with how they acted there. 500 years of history were enough to make it a historical
Mission failed. We'll
landmark,
get 'em next time.
but there were no megaliths from millennia BCE. They were simply put there to help turn the village into a great Lord Shinai worshipping holy ground. The words left behind by the elders of Kami Fujiyoshi and Yasumizu gave us even more info. You'll get some lines soon! Do you want to read some here? There was the legend that, in a time where samurai still existed, Yomibito poured out of Yasumizu and attacked Kami Fujiyoshi. That coincided with the rebellion Kyonosuke had mentioned, the reason why the head families oppose Yasumizu. Looking at both the documents and word of mouth, the rebellion had happened 5 centuries ago, shortly before the village became isolated. You could find the word Bloodwater by playing with the kanji in the name Saranaga. Bloodwater Rapids. The stream was considerably corrupted even half a millennium ago. Although the legend was warped by superstition, there was no denying that Kami Fujiyoshi was attacked by people covered in Saranaga mud. The grandfather concluded without a doubt that this incident was made Kami Fujiyoshi people so afraid of Yasumizu. This rebellion was the very cause of the decades of isolation, the creation of the Shinai faith, and the start of the Feast of the Yomi Purge.
When all I do it for you. When all I do is for you.
The grandfather thought that Yasumizu was purposely created to be discriminated against. It was a bad, dangerous place to live in. The reason why it wasn't abandoned wasn't mentioned here, but anyway, people continued calling it home. In governing, intentionally creating a lower class and treating them poorly satisfied the upper class and thus made the governance easier. It was something you saw all over the world. Even in Japan, there was complicated historical... Does he do this in your call, Star? Historical discrimination that left its mark even on the countered era. However, they didn't want any more rebellions, so how could they stop it? One way was to make them fight amongst each other. Another was to make them so superstitious they wouldn't even think of rebelling. Basically, they had to make them believe the lie that there were wolves among them who were killing people, causing them to kill each other. They also prepared a background story to make them believe that the anomaly was actually real. The grandfather guessed that this was the true purpose of the 5-century old religion. I know I skipped a line, because he keeps... I'm also taking a breath of reading. I read it.
Hell yeah!
By doing that, they would sap any strength Yasumizu needed to rebel. His sources for that were the documents gathered by his predecessor, which claimed that people from the local temples and shrines were called into the village. It is he assumed that the incomplete or intentionally destroyed records were those regarding the scholars they summoned to help create the religion. That it seemed absurd at first, but after thinking about it, it was entirely reasonable. Hey, play putt party while you wait. The settlement that they looked down upon had bared their fangs at them. So what did they do? Call the smart people for help? That was natural. He said okay. And so those scholars teamed up, creating a new religion. It's like when you're trying to talk to someone and they won't listen, so you start showing them a Subway Surfer video so they can pay attention. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yay!
Yay! Putt party! He can take my iPad. I have one. Here, Titus, just borrow my iPad. And if they'd given the head family rules in their legends to ensure proper control, man, it sounded messed up, but it didn't seem impossible. It's your turn. I don't know if he knows.
Hold on, I'm in the middle of a round of putt party.
I didn't think it was so soon. Take your time.
It's the other way around. It's so that the people of Kami Fujiyoshi wouldn't have to.
I already read this. What the fuck? He's having flashbacks of a conversation 5 minutes ago.
Oh, oh my god. It's okay, forget it. They wanted to avoid eye contact not only because they thought they were corrupted, but also because they were afraid. Haruaki, you okay, bro? Kaifujoshi was afraid of
Man, I
Yasumizu.
remember when I was annoying Lumi with soundboards. Or guys, remember when that happened?
That's all you do when I'm trying to read. So I have to tune it down to the
Yeah,
side.
exactly. That's like what Haruaki was doing. He's like, I remember that conversation I
It
was
was like
having
2 minutes
earlier.
ago.
Yeah, no shit. It literally just happened.
He's a little stupid in the brain, okay? It's alright. It's all those looping moments. It was a possibility I wouldn't have considered before, but it also seemed likely. It'd be pretty scary if the people they look down upon finally let their grudge take over and become fearful modders. No, I know how to say that, damn it. Ready to enact their revenge. Good night.
I'm not going to bed yet.
It's not you going to bed, you goober.
I'm not a goober. Okay, maybe I am a goober.
Yes, you are. Good night. Alright, super. And because they were aware of how badly.
Good night, person. Whoever's going to bed. Is it Jordan?
Yes,
Is
it
that
is,
Jordan
yes.
going to bed?
You want to talk to him?
Ooh.
Hi.
Good night, Jordy Poo.
What do you say?
He just said hi, Jordy Poo. What do you mean, how does he know that? Who doesn't know that?
That's true. You want to read this line?
What?
Read.
Do I want to read it?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Narrator voice.
And because they were aware of how badly they treated the settlement, the guilt grew even larger, and they started controlling and discriminating against them even further. Oh, dang, this is awesome. When you looked at it that way, they made a whole religion just to protect themselves. And boy, was that insane. Got some racism up in here? That's dope!
Yeah,
Now that
classism
now
as
that,
well.
now that the feast's origin revealed, what was that about the heads' families not being involved in it so much?
I'm sorry, I went to the chart. Go ahead.
Apparently, the first feasts were a lot simpler than the current one. There was the purification,
hard.
sheltering, dreaming, and the limit of one per day, but there was no actual punishment for breaking these laws. They'd probably set it up to prevent indiscriminate massacres. Also, there was no wolf selection, and there were no guardians. The heads, or Fushiyoshi leaders of the time, only circulated the Yasumizu legend that the wolves came back. By spreading the local legend along with a lie, they motivated the people to kill each other whenever the mists appeared. It was successful, and the people started killing suspected wolves every time the mist shows up. In response to that, those who spread their legs were brutalized at night. I mean, spread the suspicions. Spread the suspicions.
Okay. I think you're reading the wrong book here.
This weekend, Yasumitsu Zubu left the place of
It's
breeding ground for future
Hey, yo.
problems
Hey,
and
yo.
to reach the rebel. I see, I was right. Spreading the legs. Yeah, I knew it. Yeah.
Wait,
That doesn't make any sense.
Why would they kill each other just because of that?
Hit the next button.
Oh, did he read it?
Yeah, he already read that part.
How can there be murders without any real threat?
The past isn't the present. There were times when the superstition could make people murder one another. Your grandfather uses the word lynch right from the start. I think that's important.
Hey, yo!
What did he say?
Lynching! Yo, where the white sheets at, my dude?
There's
Yeah.
lynch in this game. Do you not get that?
I think that the Feast of the Yomi Purge was actually useful to the people of Yasumizu too. Bye, Jordan.
He said bye. He said bye.
He's a great narrator. I like that.
He does a great job when he wants to be serious. He plays. You should follow his channel. He needs more followers.
Shout him out right now.
How do I even do that? Does he have any clips?
And do exclamation point SO and then at him.
Let's see. He's not even on my search. He's in his Yakuza phase.
He doesn't have to be online.
I know. I'm gonna find his name. Okay. Can I type? Thank you. Yeah, he's gonna join the Dream Daddy
I don't know.
next
Can
time.
you?
But he has a meeting for work this time, so he can't. Does he? This is so old.
Oh.
I don't know what this is.
Try to suck my face. I didn't consent to that.
What the fuck, Jordan? Sorry, y'all. That was a weird clip.
Hey, yo!
Go
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
It's a little weird. Please go follow him, I guess.
What do you mean?
Couldn't have had a healthier
先に
clip.
進みましょ
Let's keep reading.
We're still reading? Sure enough, the grandfather seemed to... Oh, it's Keaton. Seemed to believe that, to the people of Yasumizu, the feast made the killings into a just cause. According to this, the feast wasn't considered a paranormal event, not even by the Yasumizu people themselves. It was just a justification for lynching. The hand of the law didn't reach this backwards village, and Yasumizu was even more isolated, a settlement for the ostracized. Excuse me, my god, I'm all gross today because I ate steak and baked potatoes, dude. Digestion can be weird. Of course, there had to be conflicts and wrongings, and the social system to solve them was limited. Thus, there were a demand for solutions beyond the law, and the feast fit the bill perfectly. When the mist came, they could easily get rid of people they didn't like, by lynching them. However, that came with the risk of being targeted by their friends and family. This continuous cycle of lynchings and revenge eventually destroys the minority and leaves the majority wounded. The feast ends and law returns to Yasumizu. It seems like the ostracism they'd done in ancient Greece. Greece mentioned? Anyone who was against the law of the village had their names written on
They
pottery.
mentioned ancient Greece. 10 out of 10 game.
10 out of 10! It was good enough for the Romans and voted to be exiled, a backwards but effective way to keep order.
Gay anal sex. It was good enough for the Romans.
I like posted that on my Instagram because I haven't posted there in ages, so I posted a couple clips.
I saw you posted on your TikTok and it got like what, 1,000 views?
No, like almost 3K.
Almost 3,000.
Well, it's also
damn.
because I actually like paid like $7 to see how it would be to promote your stuff, and it blew up, and I don't even know why. It was hilarious. It got like 500
Damn.
likes. Yeah, you're pretty funny.
That's great. Yay, I'm funny.
Right, and I posted on Instagram, and somebody in the comments was laughing at the part where you said it. It was good enough for the Romans.
I'm a comedian now.
You should. Though, while the punishment that was exile... Oh, there was exile, the feast came with the death penalty. It was clearly unjust, but they found it better than nothing. By having these occasional unlawful disputes, they actually prevented the settlement as a whole from crumbling. Those who participated in the lynchings had their guilt lessened by considering the legends and myths. Superstition had real-world effects. By telling people that they'd be hanged if they were bad, the renegades among them would be silenced. So yeah, the Feast of the Yomi Purge had its perks for both Kamifujiyoshi and Yasumizu. We're gonna be reading the entire stream. And apparently, it was a long-running tradition for Kamifujiyoshi to do certain things immediately before the mists came. They summoned the children of Yasumizu to Kamifujiyoshi and called the women to help them with food. There was no end to these records. It was much like the mountain festival, the carrot for the stick they constantly provided the settlement.
Help, the child that I abandoned keeps coming back. Restraining order. Fuck off. For the love of God, please
I'm gonna
just
go buy
leave me the
milk.
fuck alone.
They'll never call or text again. I liked T's and Aldo. All of them were funny, man. Aldo, yours, and Jordan's. but it was also a form of population control. They didn't want Yasumizu to be completely depopulated, so they protected the children. This tradition was alive to this day. Even 8 years ago, Tai-san, Kaori-san, and the children had been saved from the feast when they were called. So while it had run its roots in superstition, the Feast of the Yomi Purge became a kind of a social tool.
I see. Controlled lynching, or perhaps capital punishment by popular vote. It's only useful to us as Kamifujiyoshi people, and it doesn't spread outside Yasumizu. Muro and the youths are right. The village heads are the bad guys here. I'm not sure about that. The leaders from that era might have intended this to be a kindness meant to ensure stability. The problem is that it continues to this day. Yes, this is something that shouldn't be happening in Yasumizu today. Is that what it says? It says that there were 3 feasts during and after the war. More reading, yeah.
Yay! How much reading do we have? Just curious.
Yes.
The ones who survived it said that an actual wolf had appeared. Also, rules like sheltering, which had been ignored until then, now came with a supernatural punishment. The legend had gone from mere story to reality. The grandfather himself had witnessed some paranormal things too. There was a pile of dog corpses that seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. The thorough, violent deaths given to the rule breakers. The wolves who would come in through locked doors and brutalize the ones inside. And finally, the unity between the wolves hell-bent on killing the humans even if it meant their own death. That was the feast I knew. The next text was written by the previous head, Kiyonosuke-shi's father, and he observed the 3rd feast of the recent times. It was the one that happened 8 years ago, and its survivors mentioned impossible paranormal events that actually happened.
Oh, fuck.
It
I
was
can't
the
believe
same.
you've done this.
The exact same. The feast had been supernatural 3 times in a row, and this was the 4th one. That means that something had drastically changed with the feast that happened during the war. The reason for that wasn't given here. Are you okay? It must be shocking. Should we take a break? Alright, cut it out.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Are you okay? It must be shocking. Should we take a break?
It must be shopping?
Yeah, shopping.
Let's go shopping.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go shopping! Yes!
No, I'm fine. Let's keep reading. Next is the text left by my father.
Bro just wants to
Oh,
read.
we're getting closer.
Oh. Like Kiyonosuke-shi said, the final section of the diary was written by the previous head of the Nosato family. He'd inherited the will of his predecessors and tried solving this mystery. Oh, you want us to nya now? Though unlike them, he seemed to prioritize documents that had been released to the public. Nya, do not come. For one, there were
I'm gonna come.
Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Do not come.
Do not come. For one, there were cutouts of articles. Nya.
Do you suffer from a lack of a father figure?
He'd taken various clippings from newspapers and magazines to create an extremely large scrapbook. There were bits from local newspapers, national ones, and both general and specialized magazines of varied renown. Nya. Basically, he'd gathered all the info regarding Fujiyoshi, no matter how minor. Nya. Of course, we didn't have the time to look through all of them, so we relied on the index and the diary. Nya. We found out that this small village had a number of unexpected major events happen in it. Nya. They were so big that they actually made it to national newspapers. Nya. Some of these oldest and more notable ones were the articles about the serial murders here that had happened over 60 years ago. Nya. There were a number of articles with titles like 20 deadly break-ins in Fujiyoshi and murders in 20 houses in Mountain Village, and I found that number to be significant. Though the number of places that had been attacked was 20.
Fucking yeah.
Oh my god, I have to say it every time.
Yes.
The number of casualties was 17. 8
For
more were
5
injured.
minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Regardless, it was definitely big enough to make a mark on Japanese history, yeah. This event was well covered for something that happened on the eve of World War II, and it ended with the culprit being sent to Tokyo and quickly executed, yeah. The incident was reported for 2 years, from when it came to light right up to the capital punishment, yeah. It could be summed up like this, yeah. On December 27, 1940, in Fushioshi village, Kamafujiyoshi Hochizuki, a man covered in mud, invaded a private dwelling, yeah. He quickly used the kitchen knife he had to attack 2 of the people inside, destroy property, then escape. One of the victims went on to die, yeah. The culprit went on to continue invading houses in Hochizuki, murder, and destroy property, yeah. After 30 minutes of this, he escaped Fujima by foot, yeah. It's a minute? Oh, it's okay, you get a little extra. The crime was so sudden that the inhabitants and the local police couldn't do anything about it before it was over, yeah. The incident came to light when the local police reported it to the Metropolitan Police, yeah. Since cars were widespread in the area, yet the doctors from the surrounding villages hurried over with their horse-drawn carriages. That was how much of a big deal it was. Yeah. The police had gathered a number of officers and established a perimeter to surround the culprit, but in the end they failed to arrest him, yeah. The witnesses, bloodstains, and the lost items made them conclude that the culprit had changed his clothes somewhere up the mountain, then escaped by going down the river, yeah. They followed after him, but soon it was the end of the year, and it was hard to get around. It took them time to find proper footprints, yeah. On January 3rd of the following year, the prefecture police noted that the perimeter was broken, but this wasn't reported, yeah. The investigations that followed bore no fruit, and the newspapers and magazines wrote a lot about the escaped or hidden murderer. We haven't saved in like 15 years. Just a thought. But then at one afternoon at the end of January, a man showed up in a police station in Mangetsubashi, Tokyo, and said that he was the murderer who escaped Fujiyoshi. There'd been much speculation about where the culprit was from, but it turned out that he was actually a local, which raised a few questions. One of them was, why couldn't the locals figure out who it was? Indeed! This question was left unanswered, and the man who turned himself in, Kihei Tochitani, 30 years old. I'm Kira Yoshikaga Kagame, 30 years old.
For real? Hey,
Hey, calories! From the moment on, the major newspapers simply reported how the trial was going, while the magazines had just a couple of opinion pieces. Kinosuke's father commented that you never see it coming.
Ooh, fucking cool, Joker! Liddy on.
Were actively keeping journalists from entering Yasumizu. At the same time, they didn't resist the police and in fact were highly cooperative. But in the end, Yasumizu wasn't really mentioned in the trial reports. It could have been the weak legislature system of the time or the result of the Miguruma's efforts. Under such circumstances, they held Kihei Tochitani's trial. He insisted on several things. That he was too drunk to remember the details. However, he was certain that he was the murderer. He'd lived in that area and was on bad terms with his neighbors to the point of holding a serious grudge. When he sobered up, he became scared and ran away, and since he knew he couldn't keep running forever, he just turned himself in. He was too afraid to return to Fujiyoshi. Some had found his statement that he'd attacked 20 households in 30 minutes questionable, but it was a trial under significant public scrutiny. And since Kihei admitted to the crime, he was executed based solely on that. It happened 2 years after his arrest. The capital punishment was carried out, and he departed this world without further comment of note. The news agencies were now covering World War II, so these serial murders ended up becoming forgotten. Also, Kinosuke's father noted something about him. 3 years before the incident, Kihei had been sent to Yasumizu because of trouble with his neighbors.
This is interesting.
Kiririmasu! From that one anime, you know.
It
Hyoka.
is.
Hyoka.
What?
It's from Hyoka. Hyouka, the girl that goes, Kiririmasu!
I don't even know what the fuck that is.
It's an anime. Really old.
It is. Kaihei Tochitani probably based his crime on the Yomibito legends, nya. He wasn't in Yasumizu for long, yet he went and did something so awful, nya. All of Fushioshi is afraid of Yomibito, so maybe he turned it around and tried becoming one with them to seem scary, nya. Or perhaps you'd heard of the old rebellion that we village heads know about, nya. I'm mostly curious about the timing, nya. Meow meow choco chow. The feast during the war, the first real one, happened about 2 years ago, after this incident. It's like a repeat.
Wow, it's like we're looping.
Oh my god, it's like a raging
called
loop.
It's like a raging loop. Oh my god, what?
Yes, it's like that time 500 years ago when they created the Shinai Faith to keep the rebels in check.
It's like it never ends. Holy crap, guys! I
This
think I
is a
figured out.
song that never ends.
Oh no.
It just goes on and on, my friends. Some people started singing it, not knowing
You
what
got
it
a
was.
friend
You
in
will be
me.
stuck to say it forever just because this is a
You
song
got
that
a friend in
doesn't
me.
end.
Of course, there were no mentions of the feast in the articles. The next notable thing was the time when the war ended and the soldiers returned to fight Fujiyoshi. These news articles were accompanied by village PR notices and photos. One of the men in the photos had the name Shoshaburo Makishima. The face, that, and expression I had no doubt that he was related to Kanzo Makishima. Many from Fujiyoshi had departed for the war, and naturally some of them were from Yasumizu. Also, according to the reports, they had a notably good survival rate. They'd also achieved a lot more on the front lines, and the PR said it was the blessing of the Okami-sama. In a different document, it was said that they had charms that resembled the Okami symbols used in the mountain festival. There was a photo that showed one of these crests, wrinkled from wear. The shape was new to me. However, the 3 diamond-like symbols made me think it was related to the one I was familiar with, which was actually pictured here. Doo-doo. The text next to it said that some chose to wear ominous symbols instead. For reference, there was the defined crest of Great Lord Shinai. It was actually my first time seeing it, and apparently they couldn't use it as a good luck charm because it was too important. Now that I think about it, I gotta try to look for her necklace. I'm gonna write that down. Which probably doesn't exist, but I could find something. Well then, if it was that sacred, it made sense that I hadn't seen it in Yasumizu. It was a bad place after all. Next, we skip the unimportant bits, such as the election results and major staff changes. We went ahead a few decades and arrived at an article from the 80s. This was pretty bad. Is that cholera or cholera? Outbreak in Mountain Village, 4 dead.
Cholera.
Cholera. It was a pretty simple incident. Apparently someone who'd gone on a trip overseas had infected the village. The name of patient 0 was hidden, but it had to be one of the village heads. They were the only ones who could travel to other countries. It was damn awful to read about, but apparently the disease spread through water contaminated by the first victim's vomit. Ew! And etc. And there were victims in both Fujiyoshi as well as Yasumizu. Also, it was only reported after the disease had subsided, which was probably caused by the Miguruma intelligence network. Nasty.
これ時期的には
Looking at when it happened, you should have been alive during this, right? You were in middle school, I assume?
その通り。
Yes, I know about it too well. I was infected myself, after all.
えコレラにですか
Huh? You had cholera?
Damn it, I thought I found it.
ああ、そうだ。というか、あれには相当な人
Yes,
数が
in
やられ
fact, it got to a lot of people, especially here in Yasumisu.
なん
You
すって
could just
今
3D
おられ
print
る
it.
方も
Jordan's good friend has a 3D printer. That's true.
Cool.
Yeah. Interesting.
What? Even those still here?
確か、そうだな。
It happened to Sir Makishima, Yamawaki-san, and oh yes, even Muro had it.
大事だったんですね
The outbreak must have been pretty big.
その通りだ。
It was. Later on, I found out that the Nosato quickly identified it as cholera, but the Miguruma...
一体何が
Huh? What?
一体何が
これらにこそ新内様の加護が効くとか言って。
God damn, we've been on this single route for like 2 hours.
I
now.
know, and it has... Oh my gosh, no offense. Have you gotten past this part?
No.
Oh. Hey,
They made the...
Sorry, go ahead.
Ask what you were going to ask, or say what you were going to say.
Cyber, how long do we have for this segment? Just curious. It's a lot of reading. I don't mind. I'm just kind of curious if we're gonna get past this before we end stream in an hour. Yeah, now? Unless you...
In an hour.
When do you want stream end? Do you want to end now?
Kinda.
You want to end right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm tired as fuck.
Why didn't you tell me?
I'm telling you now.
He says they'll die eventually. Okay, well we could. I'm fine with that. Should we stop right here?
Okie dokie.
Alright. It's okay. Sorry, Cyber. He's sleepy. He has a big weekend coming up.
EP. Yeah, I have a very important weekend.
Very
big, very important.
very big and important and precious, and Star is also precious.
I love you, Star.
Should we raid Goldie or Rio? Goldie has more
Goldie.
viewers than Rio. Okay.
Oh, Rio.
Okay.
Raid Rio.
Let me save real quick. We'll pick this up most likely on Tuesday again. And hopefully
Yay.
get past this part. It's a lot of readings. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Oops, I'm not even on the ending screen. Oh my goodness. On hanging out with us and everything. Let's raid Rio. We had fun. Don't get me wrong. Just surprised it's the... Wait, I shouted him out. I'm so dumb. Wait, no, I didn't shout him out. I spelled his name wrong. Raid. So if you're in chat, please press that yes, you're ready to raid, and thank you guys so much. Love y'all. Thank you for almost 250, I think I'm at. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for some Dream Daddy at I think about 5 p.m. Eastern time. So bye. Good night.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
I know, right?
Hey yo.
Good night, y'all. Good night, y'all. I'll see you.